and justice reign. May God in his infinite mercies answer all our prayers. Thank you. You may be seated. Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, Fellow, Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. Directors of the ministry that are seated, Director Generals and Chief Executive Officers of parastatals and agencies under the ministry present, Directors of NOA and other parastatals and agencies in our midst, Chairman and members of the National Values Charter Review Committee, SA to the Honorable Minister and other special aids to the Honorable Minister, very senior officials of the ministry, gentlemen of the media. I want to formally welcome you all to this special ceremony, which of course is the presentation of the report of the National Values Charter Review Committee to the Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, when a business is doing very well, there are people who must have toiled and worked very hard to see it through. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's give our hands to members of the National Review Charter Committee.
You are on to the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, reaching you live from the National Press Center, Radio House in Abuja, the nation's capital. The event is a formal presentation of the report on the Value Charter Review by the committee here under the Ministry of National Orientation, Information and National Orientation. I beg your pardon. It is a part of government's national reorientation program at it's planned to commence this year 2024. It's a program that is planned to drive the national reorientation program to ensure that Nigeria's Value Charter review a social contract between the country and its citizens. It is also to serve as a blueprint and policy for a national value system that would define Nigerians and their personalities as well. It's a program that it's intended to also ensure that government incorporate the key values into formal, informal, and even vocational education policies. In a nutshell, it's a program that will promote a common practice on how Nigerians will live a new life. It's the aspiration of the government to ensure that Nigerians' nationalism is promoted with pride. Any moment from now, we will hear details from the chairman of the committee, the Director General, National Orientation Agency, that is the agency that is driving this process under the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, and then the man that is steering the ship, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, who address the nation on what the National Value Charter intends to achieve.
National value system. To the best of my understanding, it is also expected to serve as a blueprint and policy for a national value system. All over the world, Nigerians have distinguished themselves. They have actually showcased the potentials of our great nation. We are good people of a great nation. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, at this point, before I turn myself to a sermonist, let me at this point formally invite the Director General, National Orientation Agency, Mr. Lanre Issa Onilu, to please give us the welcome address. Please, let's encourage him with our applause, please. Mr. Lanre Issa Onilu, please. Thank you. You can come to the podium, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me begin by welcoming the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation to this event, where he will receive the report of the committee, which is set up to finalize the blueprint for the National Values Charter. I also welcome other government functionaries, especially the heads of government institutions, stakeholders, directors of NOA, and the media. When the minister inaugurated the 10-man committee on December 6, 2023, the task was to clean up, reshape, and bring to bear additional intellectual vigor required for such a national policy to be sustainable and enduring. This objective explains why the Honorable Minister assembled such seasoned and patriotic Nigerians to produce this blueprint. As you may all be aware, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope program rests on two pillars of attitudinal change and a pragmatic approach to policy formulation and implementation. The National Values Charter will catalyze national unity. It will evolve a people with a commonality of characteristics, aspirations, and a sense of nationalism and pride for their country. This draft document points the direction of our nation in terms of value orientation. As we have said earlier, the components of the Charter are not new inventions. These national values are time-tested precepts that have guided our people and societies for centuries. However, we have not made any conscious effort in the past to aggregate our various national values and cultures, to evolve a national culture that will guide our lifestyle as a people, to move from our various divides and sectional affiliations to see ourselves as Nigerians. To move from our various divides, we need to establish and promote shared values that reflect our differences and at the same time unify us. We must seek to build a nation where values are the same and common sentiments underpin national aspirations. Establishing the Charter is essential in this critical journey of renewed hope. Honorable Minister, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Charter prescribes roles for both leadership and followership in a symbiotic relationship that exemplifies rights and responsibilities. The National Lifestyle Charter, as we like to call it sometimes, is a social contract between the country and its citizens. The Charter consists of two components, the Nigerian Promise and the Citizen Codes. The Nigerian promise consists of 7 overarching duties of our country towards all citizens. In contrast, the corresponding citizen codes consist of 7 commitments of citizens towards each other and the country. One of the citizen code is, for instance, duty of care, which places a responsibility of mutual care on the citizens and promotes a sense of service to the nation, its institutions, systems, and the people. The Charter seeks to foster an everlasting embrace between the country and its citizens, driven by a 747 contract. The National Orientation Agency, under the guardianship of the Minister of Information and National Orientation, will roll out the various socialization strategies to institutionalize the values in our national systems and ensure that the Charter becomes ingrained in our psyche as a people. I want to thank the committee for sacrificing their time to deliver their assignment. Dear compatriots, I call on all stakeholders to join this effort because lack of values is at the root of our national predicament. There can only be meaningful and sustainable development if there is an attitudinal change in leaders and citizens. Indeed, the success of the renewed hope rests on the promotion of an enduring national value system. Thank you very much.
They said a man cannot be assessed with the words of a mouth alone, but his ability to stand before a tested audience and very quality audience of this nature. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's give the DG a round of applause, please. At this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite the chairman of the National Values Charter Review Committee, Dr. Muhammad Awal Haruno, to make some few remarks and formally present the report of the committee to the Honorable Minister. Please, let's encourage him with our applause, please.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. The Honorable Minister, Ministry of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Muhammad Idris Malagi, FNIR, the Chief Executives of the various parastatals under the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, the directors in the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, members of the committee set up, the ministerial committee set up by the Honorable Minister to do this assignment, other invited guests, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Let me first begin by expressing our appreciation and gratitude to the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation for the confidence reposed in this committee by appointing us to do this very important assignment. On behalf of my committee, sir, we want to thank you for that confidence. Let me also add to say that it is not surprising that the minister has focused on national orientation, because for some of us who are outsiders and observing him and knowing his pedigree, the minister has brought a lot of professional touch and approach in changing the story and the narrative of the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. And we thank you for that. For me, I have been an interested party in following his affairs since he assumed duty. And I know, and I listen to wherever he goes. One of the things that he has stressed and has continued to do up till now is strategic engagement, so that the narrative of the Information Ministry and National Orientation will be a changed one today. And we are glad to say that we are seeing those positive changes in the way and manner the affairs of the ministry has been run in recent time. The value charter issue, as we know as Nigerians, is a critical component of any sustainable development in the country. And I think the minister is right in focusing on that, because no matter the level of infrastructural development and sustainable development, it has to be premised on some foundation of our moral values, which we know that for quite some time, attention has not been focused on that. So I'm glad to see that there is a new approach which is championed by the minister and other officials of his ministry to change that narrative, to go back to those value systems, so that we as a people can earn the respect of each other as stakeholders in the Nigerian project. And even other people will see us as responsible human beings who are focused, who have values, who will protect and cherish those values. And so when we started this assignment, sir, we had to engage in a lot of interactive and brainstorming sessions to really look back and first ask ourselves, what are those things that the nation has got right in the past years that now has become elusive to us? And what can we do about that? And it is as a result of that, and with the whole sense of commitment and urgency, members of the committee, the Honorable Minister, addressed this issue. And I'm glad to say that one of the things that I find uniquely different in even the document, which was a working document given to us by National Orientation Agency, the DG National Orientation Agency gave us, is that there's a unique element in the past moral campaigns that have happened in this country. It is more or less like a one-track approach. Government talking to people. Government talking to people. But this approach is different. There's a component that addresses what is that responsibility of the citizens to the nation. And that makes it uniquely different. And I'm sure, based on the issues articulated in this report, inshallah, when this thing is unveiled and the program is executed by the ministry under the leadership of the Honorable Minister, Nigeria and Nigerians will be proud of their country. We will respect each other. We will do things that is right and make a difference in our life, so that the story will be a changed one. Honorable Minister, sir, we thank you for giving us that opportunity. We approach this assignment as a national assignment because we are all stakeholders in the national project. And I think that should be the focus of all Nigerians, because many things are happening in our country today that we cannot really explain it. And we need, if you look at every civilization that develops in the world, whether it is Western civilization, whether it is the Asian civilization, whether it is the Arab civilization or African civilization, the foundation is morals, value system. And that is why I find this one of the things that I would like to say I'm very proud to be, and to be given the honor to chair this committee to do this national assignment for the country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to make speeches. I just want to be as brief as possible. Once again, Honorable Minister, I thank you very much for this opportunity. I thank you all. Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris Malagi, FNIPR, it is my pleasure and singular honor, sir, to present to you the report of the National Values Charter Committee set up by your good self so that the issue of national morals can be addressed. Honorable Minister, my pleasure to present the report.
Thank you very much. The chairman of the committee has just presented the report of the Honorable Minister. Thank you very much. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a scholar by name Joe Barker said, "Vision without action is merely a dream. But when a vision is translated into action, the society changes for the better." They said knowledge without integrity is zero. But we are privileged to have with us a personality that combines knowledge with integrity. He has demonstrated exemplary leadership qualities at all times. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking of no other person than the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation, Alhaji Mohammed Idris, fellow Nigerian Institute of Public Relations. It is my pleasure at this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to invite the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation to please deliver his address at this auspicious occasion. Thank you. Please, you can encourage him with our applause, please.
Thank you very much. The Director General, National Orientation Agency, the Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, the Director General, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Director General, Voice of Nigeria, Director General, National Broadcasting Commission, and all the directors of the ministry. Let me please request that the chairman and members of this committee please rise for a few seconds. Thank you very much. You may have your seat. Thank you for the work you have done to reshape Nigeria, reposition Nigeria in line with the vision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It gives me immense pleasure and joy to receive the blueprint of Nigeria's new values, national values charter. This event marks another milestone in our evolution as a nation, bringing our various of national values together to create a national culture that speaks to our common destiny. Since the birth of Nigeria through amalgamation by the British colonial administration in 1914, the different peoples that make up this country have been grappling with the question of identity within the post-amalgamation structure of the country. This search for identity has been challenged over the decades by real and imagined ethnic, linguistic, and cultural differences. While there is nothing wrong in recognizing these differences, we must not allow them to rob us of a strong sense of appreciation of our collective destiny. Our differences and diversity should be seen as strengths rather than weaknesses. The lack of understanding and acceptance of this reality is at the root of many of the problems undermining this great nation towards its desire for growth and development. It has led to needless ethnic suspicions and tension, hate speech, etc. And it has led us to different diversities that has challenged our strength as a nation and has also called to question our ability to build one united and prosperous Nigeria. This, in turn, is a big challenge towards our quest for our growth as one of the greatest nations on earth. The absence of values and of values and consensus around what our celebrated national values should be has led to the elevation of immorality into a national lifestyle. We are therefore left with many serious questions that we need to answer as a nation. How can we correct these abnormalities and chart a new path that will lead us to the great heights that we truly belong to? How do we forge national cohesion and unity from our differences? How do we build a reputational capital out of our country, at home and abroad? How do we ensure that the right behaviors and attitudes are the ones that are celebrated? How do we give the younger generation the hope and conviction that the future will be better than yesterday and today? How do we also ensure that the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain? Successive governments have grappled with findings compelling answers to these questions, as we have seen in such slogans as Nigeria, good people, great nation, change begins with me, and many like that. The publication in 2020 of a national ethics and integrity policy, among others, are all efforts in this direction. All of these, of course, are geared towards building a nation with positive values that will enable us to be counted among the best in the world. What we are doing here today and now is building on what has come before us. But most importantly, we are serious about learning from our shortcomings and of the approaches of the past, and ensuring that we do stand the test of time, and whatever we do outlive us as a people. We are determined to define and document the core values that will guide all of us as Nigerians, irrespective of our tribe, religion, social and economic status, and all other real and emerging barriers and differences that we all have as a nation. We are also very much aware of the dynamism of the human experience, the fact that, especially in a technology-driven borderless world, cultures and attitudes will evolve with time. And yet, even with these inevitable changes, the most important human values remain timeless and enduring. Let me say at this juncture that I'm not unaware that many Nigerians security challenges, unemployment, corruption, failed promises sometimes, lack of social amenities, illiteracy, and so many other things that challenge us as a nation. These have led many of our youths, our greatest assets as a nation, to emigrate in search of greener pastures outside this country. While migration is a natural human activity, many who live will have wished to stay in a country blessed with human and natural resources if the situation were different. We acknowledge this grave dilemma that continues to confront many of our people. We will never be tempted to minimize the pains and challenges and frustrations that Nigerians face. At the same time, we will also always seek to emphasize that making our way out of this difficulty and advancing along the path of lasting greatness is a collective responsibility. In other words, it is not just for the government to do. By saying this, let me be very clear that we are not trying to deflect any blame or responsibility due to government or the ruling class. No, we are only seeking to map out with this national values charter the various rights, roles, and responsibilities of all Nigerians, leaders and followers alike, public and private sectors, on this quest for national greatness. Everyone has a part to play, and I must say that the government, made up of elected officials and appointed ones, will always have a very important burden of leadership and responsibility trusted upon it. The premise of the National Values Charter is that the government, as represented by elected and appointed representatives, must fulfill basic non-negotiable promises in return for fundamental commitments from its citizens. After all, governance is a social contract. Life is about give and take. As the famous saying goes, to whom much is given, much is expected. Every right comes with a burden of responsibility or a set of responsibility, just as every responsibility should guarantee the enjoyment of certain immutable rights. As such, the Charter contains 7 core promises of the Nigerian states to the citizens, followed by the 7 commitments of the citizens towards their country. This is a significant difference between past efforts and the present. And like the Director General of the National Orientation Agency said, that is also reinforced by the chairman of this committee. The past efforts we have had has always been one directional. This is remarkably different. Another vital improvement on earlier efforts is that the implementation strategy is very comprehensive, as it considers the various ways and values the various ways and values can become ingrained in the hearts and minds of every citizen of this great country. The National Values Charter also takes into full account the fact that we are a youth-centric and technology-driven world. On account of this, we are determined to ensure that the young people of Nigeria own this social contract and are allowed to take the lead in using it to build, in concert, of course, with older members of the society, a better country and a better world. Indeed, that is why when this committee was being set up, you see young people also involved. Now, the idea is that we don't just leave it to the elderly or to the older ones to decide the future. After all, the future belongs to the young ones. I have the assurances of the National Orientation Agency, led by its able chief executive, that various innovative approaches and socialization strategies will be employed, and to ensure that the charter becomes part and parcel of our personal and collective existence as Nigerians. Let me also say that we shall be shortly announcing a date on which Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will formally unveil this charter to the Nigerian public. In his desire and in his quest to reorient Nigerians, the President has chosen to rechristen or to rename the Prime Minister of Information and National Orientation. The emphasis here is on national orientation. And in all my conversations with him, he has always said it is important that we reorient Nigerians for the future that we all desire it to have. I thank the Director General of the National Orientation Agency, under the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, that has spearheaded the work on this very important national project. His staff and members of the various committees that he has employed that have worked so tirelessly on this crucial national values charter. Thank you very much for what you do for our country. To the members of the committee, we know that this is not an assignment that was given to you for any payment to be made to you. We know the days and nights that you have labored to ensure that this document provides that blueprint that we all desire for the reorientation that the President has asked us to embark upon. Thank you for all the work you have done. It is my pleasure, therefore, that all Nigerians, and it is my sincere hope, that all Nigerians at all levels, irrespective of whatever social class, age, or geographical location, will embrace this document as a springboard in line with the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, intends to build a united, peaceful, and prosperous Nigeria that will take a rightful place in the Committee of Nations. Thank you for listening, and welcome to a new Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's give the Honorable Minister a round of applause, please. Like I said, it takes a very successful personality to lead very successful people. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your readiness to lead us aright. At this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the media, they say, is the mirror of the society. The media, apart from information, education, and their entertainment function, they perform another role. They set agenda on matters of public interest. To me, this issue of national values charter is an issue of public interest. At this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with the kind permission of the Honorable Minister, who would like to take one or two questions from the gentlemen of the media, if it suits the Honorable Minister. At this point, I want to leave the floor open for the gentlemen of the media. Please, when you are given the opportunity to ask questions, please, you tell us your name, the media organization you are representing, and please restrict your questions to the issues relating to the National Values Charter. We will appreciate. Please, you can raise your hand if you have any questions. Honorable Minister, it is accord concordia. They all accepted everything in good faith. Very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Before we bring this ceremony to an end, let me quickly give this information. The members of the National Values Charter Committee will take a group photograph, and other members of the high table at the basement of this hall. Thank you very much for coming. We thank every one of you. At this point, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, may we please rise as we take the national anthem, please. Thank you. God bless you all.
Yeah, all right. You've been on to the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. The event is the formal presentation of the report on the Value Charter, the Nigerian Values Charter. And as we have followed the proceedings, it was a clear indication, though details of the report are still not made public, but from what the committee has presented, it shows that it contains the Nigerian promise and after all, and the overall citizens codes expected to change the narratives that is talking about national reorientation. We, on behalf of the outside broadcast crew of the largest television network in Africa, the Nigerian Television Authority, I'm saying thank you for being part of this program as we hand you over to the studio in continuation of our scheduled programs. Thank you.